Tonight, we begin with a story that exploded across the internet, a digital wildfire that swept through social media feeds, newsrooms, and living rooms across the country. In a matter of hours, what started as a single rumor became the talk of the nation, igniting fear and confusion on an unprecedented scale. At the center of this storm was Ford Motor Company, a name synonymous with American innovation and resilience. Suddenly, public trust in one of America's most iconic companies was under threat as uncertainty rippled through communities and boardrooms alike. The rumor was shocking. Ford was allegedly shutting down all U.S. production, blaming new tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. The claim was bold, dramatic, and deeply unsettling. The story painted a catastrophic blow to the American economy, a symbol of industrial collapse that struck at the heart of national pride and economic security. It tapped into anxieties about jobs, global trade, and the future of American industry. For workers and families who depend on manufacturing, the rumor felt all too real, fueling fears of layoffs and economic hardship. For many, the story seemed plausible. It spread rapidly online, shared by friends, amplified by influencers, and debated in comment sections. The speed at which it traveled was staggering. The stakes were immense, not just for Ford, but for the entire global automotive market. Investors watched nervously as stock prices fluctuated, and suppliers braced for potential fallout. A move like this would have rocked supply chains and financial markets, creating a political firestorm and sending shockwaves through international trade. The rumor's power lay in how quickly it took root, showing how misinformation can spiral into panic before facts catch up. Conversations everywhere were dominated by uncertainty and speculation. This is more than a debunked rumor. It's a case study in digital manipulation and the challenge of separating truth from fiction in a hyper-connected world. Understanding what happened is crucial, not just for Ford but for all of us. Only by learning how this crisis unfolded can we hope to defend against the next wave of digital deception and protect the integrity of our information. To grasp the impact of the rumor, you need to understand what Ford means to America. Founded in 1903, Ford built more than cars. It built the American middle class and set the standard for industrial labor. Its factories are monuments to a century of American industry, supporting generations of families. That's why the rumor of a total U.S. shutdown felt like a betrayal. The backdrop: recent tariffs from the Trump administration, aimed at protecting domestic industries but complicating the auto industry's global supply chains. Tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico threatened the North American trade framework automakers rely on. This uncertainty made the dramatic false story easy to believe. The rumor played on real fears that protectionist policies could backfire, harming the very industry they aimed to protect. It wasn't just about Ford, it was about the survival of the American manufacturing dream in a new era. The Ford shutdown rumor didn't originate from any credible news outlets or official sources. It was carefully manufactured by anonymous YouTube channels, leveraging the power of artificial intelligence to create a convincing narrative from scratch. AI was used to generate entire scripts and produce synthetic voiceovers, resulting in videos that closely mimicked the style and tone of legitimate news reports, making it nearly impossible for the average viewer to tell the difference. These sensational AI-crafted videos spread at lightning speed across platforms like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and X, quickly reaching hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of unsuspecting viewers in just a matter of hours. Eye-catching clickbait thumbnails and dramatic, emotionally charged headlines were designed to maximize clicks, shares, and engagement, giving the content a false sense of urgency and credibility. Social media algorithms, programmed to promote trending and engaging content, amplified the reach of these AI-generated videos, creating a perfect storm where misinformation could thrive and go viral almost instantly. The deception was highly sophisticated, scripts were carefully crafted to sound plausible, voices were eerily realistic, and crucially, there were no disclaimers or warnings to alert viewers that the content was fake. The true goal wasn't to inform the public, but rather to provoke strong emotional reactions, drive up engagement, and ultimately generate ad revenue for the creators behind these anonymous channels. This is the new face of modern misinformation. Scalable, automated, and increasingly difficult to distinguish from reality, as technology blurs the line between fact and fiction. The Ford shutdown rumor exposed a critical vulnerability in our information ecosystem, showing just how easily falsehoods can be manufactured and spread on a massive scale. The very platforms designed to connect us and foster community can, with equal ease, become powerful tools for spreading lies, confusion, and division across entire populations. The challenge we now face is immense. How do we build effective defenses against a threat that's automated, scalable, and relentlessly effective, constantly evolving as technology advances? When the facts emerged, reality was far more nuanced than the headlines suggested. The story of Ford, Stellantis, and GM's response to recent challenges is not one of panic or collapse, but of strategic adaptation and resilience in the face of uncertainty. Ford, for example, quickly denied rumors of a complete shutdown. Instead, the company doubled down on efforts to strengthen its U.S. operations, investing in its workforce and facilities. However, Ford did acknowledge the impact of new tariffs, warning of a potential $1.5 billion financial hit, and choosing to withdraw its previous financial outlook for the year. This move signaled caution, but also a commitment to weathering the storm. Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler and Jeep, took a different route. In response to the tariffs, it temporarily halted production at 2 North American plants. This decision affected hundreds of workers and sent ripples through local communities. But Stellantis made it clear it was not abandoning the market. Instead, the pause was a calculated step to reassess and recalibrate its strategy. Meanwhile, GM chose to ramp up production of its most popular trucks in Indiana. By increasing output domestically, GM aimed to meet strong consumer demand while sidestepping the impact of tariffs on imported vehicles. This proactive approach helped the company maintain its competitive edge. These varied responses highlight how each automaker adapted differently to the same set of pressures. Their strategies were shaped by unique strengths, market positions, and long-term goals. Contrary to dire predictions, there was no industry-wide collapse. Instead, what we saw were calculated maneuvers and smart decision-making in a volatile and unpredictable environment. Ford launched a new sales push to boost demand, Stellantis paused to recalibrate its operations, and GM ramped up domestic output to stay ahead. These are the real stories of adaptation and resilience, far from the sensationalist rumors that often dominate the news cycle. The auto industry is certainly in flux, facing new challenges and opportunities, but it is not in freefall. Companies are evolving, not retreating. This is how American automakers are navigating the complex new realities of global trade, by staying flexible, making tough choices, and always looking for ways to move forward. The economic fallout from tariffs was immediate and measurable. Stellantis's production halt led to 4,500 layoffs in Canada and 900 in the US, thousands of families suddenly facing uncertainty. Stellantis's stock dropped 9.4% in a single day, reflecting deep investor concern. Ford projected a $1.5 billion loss, withdrawing its financial guidance and signaling deep uncertainty. These numbers, thousands of layoffs, billions in losses, are the real cost of the trade dispute. The Canadian Auto Workers Union condemned the tariffs, highlighting the pain for workers on both sides of the border. The impact wasn't limited to one company, it rippled through the entire sector. The data points reveal the true, painful consequences of the trade war. These are not abstract figures. They're livelihoods and futures at stake. The contrast with the baseless rumors couldn't be clearer. The auto tariffs became a political flashpoint. Supporters saw them as necessary to protect American jobs. Critics, including unions, called them a self-inflicted wound disrupting a successful, integrated industry. Stellantis's layoffs became a symbol of the immediate harm to workers. The uncertainty spread through the wider economy, affecting suppliers, dealerships, and consumer confidence. The tariffs introduced new risks across the economic ecosystem. Socially, the incident exposed the vulnerability of communities dependent on manufacturing. Rumors and layoffs reignited fears of economic abandonment and debates about corporate loyalty and government's role. The fortunes of the auto industry are woven into the fabric of these communities, and that fabric was tested once again. To understand these events, we turn to experts in media and economics. Media literacy analysts called the Ford rumor a classic data void, high demand for information, low supply of credible reporting. Malicious actors exploited this with sensational AI-generated content. Technology experts confirmed the videos were likely AI-generated, with scripts that sounded real but lacked sources. The real warning distinguishing between human and machine-made content is becoming a daily challenge. Auto industry analysts weren't surprised by the varied corporate responses. Each company's strategy reflected its unique exposure to tariffs. Economists cautioned that tariffs are just one layer in a complex global picture, adding cost and instability to an industry already under pressure. Most experts agreed. While the goal of strengthening domestic manufacturing is understandable, tariffs often create unintended consequences: higher prices, layoffs, and volatility. The market's reaction was predictable, given the blunt force of these policies. The North American auto industry now faces a critical crossroads. Companies are re-evaluating supply chains, considering reshoring or nearshoring to adapt to the new trade environment. In the short term, automakers are in constant dialogue with governments and unions to mitigate the worst impacts and protect jobs. Labor unions are demanding support for workers and a voice in future trade talks, insisting workers shouldn't be casualties of a trade war. The future remains uncertain. Each company will adjust its strategy based on its own circumstances. Some will absorb costs, others will shift production, and some may pass expenses to consumers. The industry's long-term health depends on collaboration between corporate leaders, policymakers, and labor. Balancing national interests with global realities is the challenge ahead. So, where does this leave us? The Ford rumor offers two powerful lessons. First, the American auto industry isn't collapsing, but it's under real strain from tariffs and uncertainty. Second, the ease with which AI-generated misinformation spreads is a chilling reminder of truth's fragility in the digital age. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a deliberate act of deception for profit. In an era where anyone can create a convincing lie, the responsibility for truth falls on all of us. We must be active, critical thinkers, questioning sources, seeking confirmation, and fact-checking before we share. The truth is out there, but it requires effort to find. The Ford rumor was fiction, but the danger it represents is real. Protecting ourselves and our democracy starts with seeking the truth. Good night and good luck.